Employees of IKEA, what are some of the worst family meltdowns you have seen? Dude didn't have a receipt to return a used duvet and for told no. He threw a fit. Security came and he wouldn't move. Cops came and he finally did, but came right back in and laid on the floor screaming, refusing to leave without his money. Bigger cop comes in, not taking any of this guy's crap and handcuffs him. His screaming intensifies to a loud shriek and he's finally escorted out. This whole ordeal lasts about half hour. I've got tons of these. IKEA customers are fricked. An older gentleman in our baths department ranting about how cheap the furniture is, banging on things, etc. Tried to slam a drawer but it soft closed on him. Oops, your tantrum was foiled by quality furniture. This is my favorite so far. I work at a massive IKEA store in Australia. For a lot of people it's their first time in IKEA. So by the time they get to my section they start to panic because they aren't used to the maze-like layout. There are a lot of breakdowns. Usually small children who want to go home. Seriously, there's so many parents wandering around with their 5-year-olds at 9 PM on a school night. Go home. Anyway, the most memorable breakdown I dealt with was when I was working in home organization. This man marched up to me, phone in hand and family in tow. He wants to buy a certain clothes rack but he can't find it anywhere in this stupid store. Alright mate, I'm happy to help you out. Although I'm not liking the attitude. He shows me a picture on his phone, a screenshot from a website with no context. I haven't seen that clothes rack before. Either it's very new, very old, or not something that we stock. I ask if he knows the name of it. No, that's your job. He's getting even more worked up now. But I can't search with just an image. I check our store's website and I can't find the dang clothes rack anywhere. I ask if he was sure he looked at store location as website specifically. Not all IKEAs stock the same stuff. Shocking, I know. Immediately I can tell he feels insulted. Of course he looked at the right website. I activate dumb salesgirl mode and ask him to show me. He pulls up the website and there is the clothes rack. Quite clearly on target.com or. He notices and storms off wordlessly. I got immense pleasure watching him get lost and do a couple loops through the store before finding the exit. Being able to activate dumb salesgirl mode has saved me from an insane amount of confrontations. Well played, friend. I worked at IKEA for 5 years selling sofas. One of my co-workers, let's call him Jim, worked evenings and weekends and returns while his day job was teaching math at a local high school. One day a woman comes to the counter trying to return some pillows. Generally speaking, they didn't take returns on pillows for sanitary reasons. She also didn't have a receipt and the pillows were clearly used and absolutely disgusting. Jim tells the customer that he's sorry, but our return policy states we only accept products within 30 days of purchase, with the receipt, and unused in the original packaging. This did not sit well with her and she began to scream at Jim. She was spiteful and cruel. Jim had come to the US from another country years ago and while he spoke perfect English, still had an accent. She mocked his accent and told him to speak English. She repeatedly shouted that he was stupid and would never amount to anything. He was too dumb to get a real job, etc. Meanwhile, her teenage son is in the background. He's pleading with his mother to stop shouting at Jim. He's begging her to give it up so they can go home. Eventually she turns around to shout at her son and ask him why he cares so much. That's my calculus teacher. There had already been a parent-teacher night scheduled for a few weeks later. His father went alone. That's gonna haunt that kid for the rest of his life. I used to work in IKEA in my student days. The Glasgow, Scotland store. When it was newly opened, an elderly Irish guy and his wife stopped me and asked where IKEA was. I explained that they were in IKEA and they couldn't understand. They had arrived at the ferry port in Ireland that morning and decided that they'd go on a day trip to somewhere they hadn't been before. When they arrived at the port in Scotland there was a dedicated IKEA bus. They thought IKEA was an actual place in Scotland and didn't realize it was a shop. I walked away trying not to pee myself laughing as I could hear them blaming each other for the mistake. Jesus, this might have been my folks. I did a stint doing early morning, 5 AM start, replenishment at IKEA one summer. I was stocking a bin in the warehouse at opening time, so I had a view of the guy going over to open the gate at the front of the store to release the hordes right at 9 o'clock. The time comes he flips the switch. The gate starts rising and as soon as it's high enough this woman ducks under it and begins all but running across the store. That's when I realize her kids, who looked like they were about 3-5 frantically chasing her flat out just to try and keep up. It made me kind of sad. 2 words. Black Friday. It was 9:55. We open at 10. We were almost done. All that we had left to do was put out some children's kitchen set. What we didn't realize was that it was 50% off. I only had 2 pallets left to put out when the store opens and the horde came. They were crazy. Sprinting, pushing and shoving. They fought to get to these kitchens and when they noticed my pallets, they tore them open and took it. Eventually one woman started screaming and attacked the guy who took the last one off of the pallet. Not noticing the 2 full pallets, I had to pull her off him and security came. After about 10 minutes the chaos ended, and I cleaned up. At the point an elderly couple came and asked if there were any kitchens left and I put one in their cart as my co-workers laughed at what had just occurred. IKEA employee here was organizing some products as I noticed an elderly couple, approximately 60s, walking past me. The man stops and comments on a rug, saying it's nice. The wife replies it won't fit in our home. The guy immediately growls back, oh come on, we both know what this is about. You think I'm stupid? I'll show you stupid. He then grabs the rug and angrily stomps off. The lady just kept walking as if nothing had happened. I agree that 60s aren't elderly. I guess old would have been a better word to use. She is probably used to that kind of behavior by now. I was in the Vancouver IKEA, and they have a children's play area that was packed. There must have been 100 kids in there, some being watched from outside and some completely unattended. Without warning, the power went out. There were emergency lights but the play area was still quite dark. The kids all started shrieking and crying and running around in the darkness. The power probably only out for 2 minutes, but the chaos was spectacular. When the lights came back on, it looked like a battleground. Some kids were bruised and bloodied, some had the 1,000-yard stare of a war veteran. There were a few who had bonded together in the tunnels and refused to leave. Some were missing entirely. They must have escaped in the shadows into the well-furnished maze that is IKEA. The meatballs were good too. Overall 10/10, but the bar was set high and no future visits could compare to that eventful day. The Lord of the Flies with meatballs. It wasn't exactly a meltdown, but I was looking at sheets once in IKEA. A young couple was checking them out as well and the guy motions towards the black sheets and says, honey, what about those ones? She replies at normal conversational volume, not those ones. Sperm stains will really stand out and everyone around does a double take and develops very bad coughs. I've never seen somebody become so red in public before. Not a family but relevant I think. I work in the Bistro area and I once had a customer scream and threaten a co-worker when he was told he couldn't get a cup for water. We only have 1 cup in the Bistro. It cost $1 and is counted as inventory so we can't give them out for free. When my co-worker told the guy this he flipped out, said IKEA is pure crap and we are operating illegally by not providing him water. We aren't, there's a water fountain to the right. He begins to call my co-worker a piece of crap, approaches me and asks for a cup. I tell him the same thing which only angers him further. Once I point out the water fountain nearby he says he won't use it because he isn't a peasant and says he'll come back to deal with me and my co-worker for trying to profit off his dehydration. Needless to say I never saw him again and my co-worker and I shared a good laugh. Former Uber driver here. I had a pickup request at an IKEA. For the record, this was after you could specifically request SUVs was rolled out. So I pulled up to the pickup area in my Prius and there was 2 people, mother and daughter, waiting for me. When I park I see they have an entire bedroom set. I ask them if they have a second car coming and she was like, no, I need you to load it up in your car. So I start folding my seats and she said no. My mother needs to come too. I told her I can't do that, I don't have room for everything. That was when she threatened to email Uber over refusing to help her. Like, B, I can take your mom or your furniture, not both. Request an SUV or pay IKEA $50 to deliver it for you. Quit being cheap. It's not my fault you went to IKEA without a car or a game plan for getting it back. I need you to load it up in your car. If someone talked to me that way, I suddenly realize that I just had hernia surgery and can't lift anything over 10 pounds. I work in IKEA food. I had one guy claim that he was a big guy and wanted me to put extra food on his plate after I made the plate. I explained that I can't as we have to stick to a portion size and that he could add a side plate for $1.99. He then yelled that we are all cheapskates, stormed off to his family, brought all the plates of food that we made for them and told us that he is going to bring his family somewhere good. Complaining about the price of IKEA food, really scraping the bottom there. I used to work at IKEA and have so many stories from there. I think a memorable one wasn't a family fighting, but it was two women fighting over my service. I was helping one customer and it was a super busy weekend, so I'm sure all the employees were pretty busy. As I was helping her, another woman came up and interrupted us. They started arguing and one of them called the other woman a cow. We needed a new mattress. My now wife insisted that we pay the $99 for delivery. I was adamant that I could get it home on the roof rack. I strapped the mattress to the roof of the car, ratchet straps across all four corners. Mother wasn't going anywhere. We get in the car and opt to take surface streets home instead of taking the highway. Everything's going great, but there is one stretch where the speed limit is 50 miles per hour. We're driving along and a big truck flies by and immediately after it passes us, I see the mattress fly off the car in the rearview mirror. Holy freaking crap. I'm backing up on the road and come to the mattress. I did do a fantastic job strapping it to the roof rack. Problem is that the mattress took the roof rack with it. It's still tied to the mattress. We hoist it back on the roof and take it slow to a gas station. Restrap the mattress. Straps going through the car this time. And get it home. There's a small cut on the underside of the mattress and some gravel in the protective plastic cover. Otherwise, no real harm done. My wife still brings it up every time we go to IKEA. So, we're paying for delivery, right? Also, since the roof rack got fricked up, and surprisingly didn't damage the car, I called Yakimore. They recommended not carrying stuff like mattresses, plywood for that very reason, but they did replace the roof rack for free. I'm a cashier. There was a bratty teenager and her mom about to pay for their over $1,000 transaction and the mom suddenly said, "You know what? This girl here doesn't deserve any of this. Put it all back." I've never seen a teenager completely lose it until that shift. I feel bad for my co-worker who had to do my go-backs. Not an employee, and also this wasn't my own family, but I think it counts. I went to IKEA last year with two friends of mine, a husband and wife, who own a pickup truck and could haul stuff. I needed exactly two things, a desk and an office chair, and they were just going to look around while I shopped. I walked into the store, picked out a desk and a chair, and wrote the numbers down. In and out of the office section in 90 seconds. Too late. Their attention had already been grabbed, and they spent the next 20 minutes discussing potential couches, chairs, dressers, beds, etc. All of which culminated in my friend saying the single worst thing he could have said in the moment. "This will be such a pain to move." We're moving? Why are we moving? You know I've always wanted to move to Colorado. Then why did I just leave the job I loved for the more permanent job here? Holy crap. The floodgates were opened. What followed was no less than a 15-minute screaming argument in the midst of IKEA, which continued through the warehouse, through the checkout line, and into the parking lot. The argument started over him wanting to move and her wanting to stay, but quickly progressed to jobs, school, families, children, and ended when she snatched the keys from his hand, screamed a torrent of obscenities at both of us, and drove off. If you've never had to call someone to come pick you up with a couple of boxes because your friend just got divorced in the middle of an IKEA parking lot and your ride drove off, I can't recommend it. Desk still holds up, though. A guy came in and wanted something that we only had in the air, so it would require a forklift to get the product down, which we don't do with people in the store for fairly obvious safety reasons. I told him we could get it down right after the store closed for him, but that was not an acceptable answer. He proceeded to lose his crap on me, demanding I bring out a forklift and take it down now. As this is happening, his wife and two small children walk up. I say, "Well sir, just imagine that your children are in the aisle when the forklift comes out and an accident occurs. Your children could be crushed by a falling pallet, the arms of the lift, or any other number of possibly fatal incidents." His response: "I don't give a crap about that. I just want you to get my freaking table. I didn't have to continue the conversation. His wife took care of it. Went to IKEA shortly after my first wedding to buy a dining room table. It was me, my then husband, and a close friend, who, unbeknownst to naive young me, was my then husband's mistress. I watched them walk around like a couple discussing the options before finally settling on a glass-topped table that I mentioned many times was impractical. One pan slip away from shattering, while I had my blinders on to all the other signs that they were freaking around. It was this moment which made me realize what was going on. I busted him a few days later, and should have also busted that stupid table. The bee was shopping for herself. My BF and I overheard while browsing in IKEA a couple having some sort of miscommunication in their relationship. I guess they were deciding on things to buy. The girl says we should get that rug, in which the guy replies to her super freaking loud, "There is no we. You don't live with me." I didn't catch the rest of it as we had to walk away so they wouldn't hear us laughing so hard. Comma, in which the guy replies to her super freaking loud, "There is no we. You don't live with me. We only just met at the entrance to this IKEA." I have to. I was working in the kitchen accessories department and this middle-aged guy asked me where the cheap white plates are. So these are the lowest price plates that come in one color and are sold straight off the pallet. But they changed the color from white to light beige a month ago. I explain this and this guy starts raising his voice at me, telling me he owns a restaurant and that I go back there and bring him more white plates. At this point I know I'm not dealing with a rational person here, but I go to the computer and check if there isn't in fact a pallet of the stuff just so he sees I've tried helping him. Even shown him the big fat 0 on the screen. He gets red in the face and starts telling me how I'm personally responsible for the gas he spent driving here on his Audi A8. Asked me if I know how much gas an Audi A8 burns. He's yelling now. The whole floor is looking our way and I'm doing my best to not laugh, but I realized I'm already smiling and that pissed him off even more. The convo went something like this. "You're gonna pay for the gas I spent driving here." "I doubt that, sir. Listen here, kid. I'm gonna drive back home, load up all the freaking white plates into my car and dump them all in front of your freaking store and you're gonna pay me every last cent for the damages." That's a good idea. I wasn't even trying to be rude, I just really wanted this guy to do this. But then he asked for my manager, yelled at him, basically repeating everything including his Audi A8 gas mileage, everything. He ended up buying the light beige plates. The second one was when I was on my third day working at IKEA. Still wearing the I am new here badge, and this lady asks me where do we keep the plates for slugs escargot plates. It was my third day but I already knew we don't carry that and said I don't even think I saw one before in my life. She goes, "If I was your boss I'd fire you on the spot," and stomps away. What did I do, lady? Went to an IKEA as a kid with a friend and his family. He had a little brother, who upon eating one of those heavenly meatballs said it tasted bitter. Mother proceeded to eat one, and said it tasted fine. Kid disagreed, and threw the meatballs one at a time all across the cafeteria before father was able to stop him. Fun times. Oh god, I don't think I'd have survived to adulthood if I had done that. Obligatory not an IKEA employee. Was at an IKEA one day getting a dresser. Was walking through the small item section between the showrooms and the warehouse. For stuff like plates and such. Saw this guy looking in this bin for shower curtain rods. Or maybe just regular curtain rods. Can't remember. The bin was empty, but there was a nearby shopping cart with one in it. It was clearly someone's shopping cart that they had left sitting while they went to get something else. The guy took the curtain rod from the cart and was leaving when the guy came back and caught him. The guy refused to give the curtain rod back to the original person and a physical altercation ensued. Yes, two grown men fought over a cheap IKEA curtain rod until security employees came and broke it up. Frick man, if someone steals crap out of my cart, you bet your butt there's gonna be a fight. I don't give a crap what it is, it's the principle of the thing. In Beijing, it's a magnet for all over 55 retired and single. They sit in the cafeteria all day sipping on a coffee or nothing. No tables for anyone to sit down. Finally management set up a 1-hour rule. This rule lasted 2 days. The locals brought in all their friends and relatives to sit in all the chairs. Then they proceeded to chant and yell their rights were being violated. You can't call 911 in China, 110. The police come, look around and tell you yes you have a problem. Goodbye. Went with my ex-wife while we were still married. She picked out an entire bedroom suite for us. We spent 6 freaking hours walking that store. Went to pick up all of the parts and the side rails of the bed were on back order for 2 weeks. I said no worries, we've already collected everything else, let's just sleep on the floor until the rails come in. Nope, she said put it all back. Fine, I'll put it all back, but I'm never coming to this store with you literally ever again. And I never did. It took me a minute to realize you meant sleeping on your floor at home, not the IKEA floor. Overheard 2 young women trying to agree on a dining table. One of them said, "This table screams, I just got out of prison and I need a table." On the one hand, hush. On the other hand, lovely descriptive language. I know exactly what that table looks like. Last time I was in IKEA, I watched a Middle Eastern family have an argument in the couch section. Family walked away to go sit in one of the demo living rooms. Dude proceeded to pick up a futon-like couch, walk over, and chuck it at them. He proceeded to scream in what I assume was Arabic, all while literally flipping every table he saw. I quickly fast walked to the nearest shortcut possible. LPT. Go backwards. Eat first. Avoid the showrooms. Go through the household goods and buy your furniture in the warehouse. GF and I do this all the time and we are happy as clams with bellies full of meatballs. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.